Now let me do the necessary throat clearing because I do think it's important. Look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. I know, good friends of mine who have struggled to find the right girl, find the right guy. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. There have always been people like that who, even though they would like to have kids, unable to have them. Let's set them to the side.
Welcome back. Well, that's the kind of contextual statement you're not hearing from the press as you listen to them attack J.D. Vance, President Trump's running mate. And as I said earlier, President Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, is being attacked for holding these very traditional views on the importance of family and children in this nation. This has the liberal media in an absolute uproar. They're labeling Vance anti-woman and against women who can't have children. Even some in conservative media and Republican circles are calling loudly for President Trump to dump Vance from the ticket over the comments that we played for you earlier. The left in the establishment, right, will have you believe that J.D. Vance wants to install a Handmaid's Tale style of gender norms in this country. But that is not at all what he said or what he means. Senator Vance was clear that he was not talking about women who do not have children. He did not say that people without children cannot participate in our democracy. What he is saying is that the concept of family and children have been desecrated and belittled in this country. In America, where birth rates continue to plummet and the American dream of getting married and having children are under constant assault. Whether it is J.D. Vance or Harrison Butker, the left wants you afraid of people who simply believe in the concept of an intact and traditional family. With all of Hollywood and the music industry on their side, are they going to win this one? Joining us to answer this exact question is a man who makes every anti-family liberal's blood boil. He is Terry Schilling, president of the American Principles Project, father of 6, and a passionate advocate for all things family. Terry, what do you make of the reaction to J.D. Vance in the last few days?
Well, first of all, Chanel, thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of yours, but I do have to just correct you very quickly. And I understand mistakes get made in this often. I'm actually up to 7 kids with my wife. So we added, the 7th about 5 months ago. It's tough to keep up with us. But regarding your question about the remarks that have been being made about J.D. Vance.
God bless that family of yours.
Thank you. It's very fun. We really love our family. We really love each other, right? This is why we live. This is why we go to work, right? And I think that is actually what J.D. Vance is getting at, right? When you have a family, when you have children, when you have a spouse, it's the first time in your life where you have to really take care of someone else, where you are part of something bigger than yourself. And that is what he's getting back to, and really what he's remarking on. It's a poverty to not be able to have children. It's not a good thing. You're not liberated. You're actually living a less fulfilled life, and that's okay. Not everyone has to choose to have children and choose to have a family. But let's be very clear, and this is JD's point. It's a good thing to get married. It is a good thing to have children. Children are absolutely, without question, a blessing to our lives and to our world. We need more children. Children, Mother Teresa said, how could there be too many children? That's like saying there are too many flowers. And that's exactly right. Human beings are good, and the family and through marriage, that is the best way to cultivate and bring forth the next generation of human beings. And that's really what we're talking about today.
Terry, what I'm noticing about the discourse that is following this attack on J.D. Vance and his pro-family approach, I'm noticing a real failure in addressing and combating it. I mean, if I were on J.D. Vance's team, I think they are leaning into this argument, but the conservative circles don't seem to quite know how to respond to this. And so you see some conservatives, so-called, resorting to just saying that Vance is the wrong pick. And I don't understand why there's no more united stance against this line of attack.
Well, it's absolutely absurd that Vance was not the right pick. He's absolutely the perfect pick for President Trump and for America. He will continue an America First agenda that President Trump started. There's no question about that. And I would remind all of the people that are freaking out and peeing their pants about this, that they would do this to any VP nominee, as perfect as you could possibly find one. If you could have a flawless candidate, and at that point, the mainstream media and the progressives that are all over this country in every major cultural institution, they would then just lie when we found the perfect candidate. And I think that that's actually what's going on with JD Vance, is they are just lying about his record, lying about President Trump's record. The reality is that we have purple and blue haired ladies with beards who are really men that are calling JD Vance and President Trump weird. Right? They are the weird ones. We have to reclaim this. This is crazy versus normal, and we are the normal ones. Family is good, children are good, and those things are not just good, they're normal too, right? It's not normal to choose not to get married. It's not normal to choose actually not to have children when you're, later on in life. It's a critical threshold for human beings.
No, that's right. The left commandeers the language wars. And I think that that's one of the greatest failings in terms of the culture war between right and left. The right is always just reacting to the left's choice of words. And I don't understand why the right does not have a more proactive war against this commandeering of language. You actually brought up some images that reminded me of the Olympics. Do you think the Olympics is just going to continue to get more radicalized at this point? I mean, they've gotten a lot of fallout from normal people saying that the opening ceremonies in Paris is just so full of debauchery and mockery of the Christian faith that it's just, people are going to tune out. People are not going to tune into the Olympics. And I wonder, Terry, if this is the pendulum swinging. Are we going to get to a point where it's so radicalized, they've finally had their say, and now they're going to get back to a mode where normal people can tune in?
I think that's already happening, and you're seeing glimpses of it all across the country. These Olympic opening ceremonies were so offensive to so many people, and people aren't afraid to make their voices heard anymore, right? And I think that what's happening is the American people and really all across the globe, normal people everywhere, are just tired of the noise. They're tired of being attacked unfairly, right? They do mockeries. They create caricatures of what it means to be a Christian. The whole point of Christianity is to empower the powerless against the kings and rulers of this world that are oppressing us and bringing evil to us, right? God came to make us all his children. He died for us all because he loves us so much, and that's what they hate. They hate the fact that God would die for all of us, and that, you go back to, the fall of man and what caused Lucifer to reject God in the first place. It was that the angels, such as him, were going to be there to serve man. These people hate human beings, and that's really what this fight is all about. It's about people that think humanity is good, that God didn't make a mistake by making us, that it was a good thing, and we need to bring more love into this world. We're missing that, right?
No, that's right. And I think that that's going to be a narrative that the left is going to struggle to fight against as more people have families and they realize that there's more at stake than just themselves, right? I want to turn to the political side. Kamala Harris is going to have to pick her running mate soon, the running mate who will go up against JD Vance on a potential debate stage. Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, he's been floated according to Axios, as emerging as this dark horse pick. He was actually in the forefront today at the Senate hearing. What are your thoughts on the choice that Harris needs to make going up against a Trump-Vance ticket to her particular voting base?
Well, if I was Kamala Harris, I would be choosing a very popular political figure from one of the key swing states that she needs to win, or that she needs to block President Trump from winning in November. I would go with someone like Senator Mark Kelly. I think Gary Peters would be a decent choice for her since it's Michigan. There are 4 key states, though, that she needs to win in order to prevent Trump from retaking the White House, and it's North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, Wisconsin and Arizona. So if I were her, I would be looking to politicians either from those states or politicians that can appeal to the voters of those states. So I think that's the choice that she has to make, and she has a delicate balance, right, to make here, because the Democrats have become so crazy when it comes to the culture and our families, that their agenda for our children, for these gender transitions and men and women's sports, that upsets the Hispanics in Arizona, right? And it upsets the working class voters in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. A lot of people are turned off by this agenda, and she's going to have a hard time finding a politician that will be able to get away from this.
It's such a gambit, right? I mean, they're using that word a lot when referring to Kamala, but she's reaching out to this Gen Z kind of TikTok generation at the expense, potentially, of a huge voting bloc that feels left out by the Democratic Party. So all good points. I guess time will tell. Terry, as usual, thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.